Okay, now that you've watched the video, or you know what equilibrium is, and you've gotten the basics of how the market responds to prices, now we're going to practice graphing this phenomena. So first, on your worksheet, plot and label your demand curve using the demand schedule provided on your worksheet. And when you're done, it should end up looking something like this. Then plot and label your supply curve using the supply schedule on your worksheet. When you're done, it should look something like this. Next, draw a horizontal line from the point where the supply and demand curves intersect. Then you want to label that equilibrium price. This is the price for the good or service that is the most what? Most stable price. Now draw a vertical dotted line from the point where the supply and demand curves intersect. You're going to label that equilibrium quantity. This is where quantity demanded and quantity supplied are what? Equal. Sorry, I don't have the answer in there. Are equal. Where quantity demanded and quantity supplied are equal. Next. Mention that a business owner decided to charge $4 for this good, whatever this good is. Graph his decision as such. So first, get a different colored pencil to keep you from getting confused. On the exam, on the final graphing exam, this is really going to help you if you're putting a price that's not equilibrium price. It's really important that you use a different colored pencil so you keep track of the fact that, okay, this is an equilibrium, this is working a very different way. Make your dotted line from the price, the non-equilibrium price, and then label it P2. Why don't we label this price EP2? Because it's not the equilibrium price. It's above equilibrium. It's higher than equilibrium. Why don't we label this price P1? Because you need to communicate the chronological order of events on the final. So by putting P2, it tells us, okay, this comes after equilibrium price was set at $3. Next, you need to draw a vertical line from the intersection of P2 and D1. Where P2 and D1 intersect, like so. What should one point on the demand curve always be labeled? One point on the demand curve, we call that quantity demanded. Why don't we label this vertical line EQ2? Because it is not the equilibrium quantity. As 30 is the equilibrium quantity. Why do we use the number 2? To show that it is caused by P2. That's why we use that number 2 in the QD2. Okay, next, draw a vertical line from the intersection of P2 and S1. So where this price of $4 intersects the supply curve. Draw a vertical line from that point. That point's right here. And then that needs to be labeled QS2 because it's the quantity supplied. At that point, one point on a curve is quantity supplied. It's the supply curve. Why should one point of the supply curve, what should one point on the supply curve always be labeled? I just answered that, quantity supplied. Why don't we label this vertical line EQ2? Because it is not the equilibrium price. Equilibrium quantity. Why do we use the number 2? Again, to show that it is caused by P2. Now, how many goods are up for sale? According to this graph, how many goods are up for sale? 40. But how many goods are buyers willing and able to buy at $4? 20. Okay. So if there are more goods for sale than buyers are willing to buy, meaning quantity supplied is greater than quantity demanded, what does that cause, according to what you learned from the video? a surplus. So this is a graph of a surplus. How much of a surplus does the price of $4 cost? So you would take quantity supplied and subtract quantity demanded. How much more is being supplied than people want to buy? We have a surplus of 20 goods. Now go to the second graph on your worksheet. Identify using your new graphing skills the equilibrium price. Go ahead and graph the equilibrium price. It should look like this. Next, graph the equilibrium quantity. Your graph should look like this. Now, imagine that a business owner decided to charge $1 for this good, whatever this good is. Graph the price. Price should look like this. Next step is the trickiest, so be careful. Find the spot where the supply curve, S1, intersects the current price, which is this right here. So where does the supply curve intersect the current price, P2? Right here. Now that you've found that spot, graph the quantity supplied for P2. What's it going to look like? It's going to look like this if you did it right. Then, find the spot where the demand curve intersects the current price and graph the quantity demanded for P2. So here's the demand curve. Here's the current price. Where do they intersect? Right here, right in this spot. Okay, graph quantity demanded for P2. It should look like this. Oops. I just gave the answer away. The business owner sets the price of this good at $1. How much of the good will she be willing to sell? Quantity supplied is 5. If a business owner sets the price of this good at $1, how much of the good will customers be willing to buy? Quantity demanded is 15. So, will there be enough of the good being sold by the seller to meet that quantity demanded? The answer is no. So, if the price of this good is set at $1, quantity demanded is greater than quantity supplied, so that gives us a what? What does that cause? A shortage. So you know if the price is set above equilibrium, you're going to end up with a surplus. If your price is set below equilibrium, you're going to end up with a shortage.